We have the Dell XPS 9500 with us, and I've been using it for about like 3 to 4 years now. Yeah, time really does fly. The design of this laptop is iconic, but Dell has some more fancier design up their sleeves, and that is why we have the new XPS 9640. This laptop is divisive, to say the least, especially when I compare it with the XPS 9500 that I have here. And please do like and subscribe to our channel because that will really help us out a lot since we do not have any sponsors. And the first thing that immediately stood out to me is that the design of the XPS 16, with its lids closed, it looks pretty much identical to the XPS 15. It's still CNC milled out of aluminum and it is a very solid laptop. However, I'm not sure what type of aluminum grade that they are using for this laptop because it is very heavy, 2.2 kilograms to be exact. And once we open up the lid though, this is where most of the changes are found. We'll talk about the keyboard first. The power button is now placed beside the backspace button. It also now doubles as a fingerprint scanner as well, which I think that's actually a very good decision. Now, one problem that I found out is the instability of the keycaps on the XPS 15. If I type faster and hit the corners of the keycaps, especially the I and N key, then it will probably not register. Dell has addressed this issue and came out with a brand new keyboard design that is much solid and also more responsive than before. The travel distance on this new keyboard isn't something that I personally prefer, but it's okay. It can still feel decent to type on. The function row is now replaced with a touch-sensitive panel, and it's not customizable since everything is hard-coded. And we can toggle the function row with multimedia keys with just the hit of the function key that is located on the keyboard. Pretty standard, honestly. The speakers flank the keyboard, and surprisingly, the speakers are wider and shorter than before. But how does it actually sound? Let's have a listen. I do think that it sounds a bit muffled, especially when you're listening to some EDM music and whatnot, but yeah, I just don't think that they are especially good. The next big change here is the trackpad. Now, even though we can't see it, the trackpad is definitely there, just blended with the wrist rest to make it look like a single piece. The trackpad is located somewhere here, and if we try to just draw a border around it, then you can see how large the trackpad really is. Now, this trackpad works surprisingly well. The palm rejection is one of the best that I've tested so far, but if we want to click on it though, then it has some sort of haptic feedback via vibration to tell us that it is actually clicking. The trackpad doesn't actually move downwards because remember, you cannot flex this big piece of what I think is a piece of glass according to their website. Then I encountered one rather funky issue. It is good in terms of palm rejection, but it does not have proper click rejection. You see, when I was typing on this keyboard, it just kept on vibrating and clicking some stuff on the screen, and I just find that to be really annoying, so I eventually just turned off the trackpad and connected it to an external mouse. Also, I don't know if this problem is specific to our unit here, but this piece here isn't exactly flat. Whenever I swipe my hand across the entire piece, I can feel a little sunken area around the middle part here. Let me visualize it for you guys to see with this color gradient here. Yes, that is what I feel with my fingers. The screen though is absolutely an upgrade. As the name suggests, it is using a massive 16.3-inch OLED screen with touch capability, 90Hz refresh rate, both anti-smudge and anti-reflective coating, and also a supremely thin bezel. Honestly, this is absolutely the best looking screen on a laptop that I've seen, period. The color reproduction is also excellent as it can achieve 100% of sRGB and 99.95% of DCI-P3 color gamuts while maintaining a very low delta E number of just around 1.6. The maximum brightness is at around 400 nits only, which isn't the highest, but damn, the colors on this laptop screen is magnificent. Even with such thin bezels, the webcam and Windows Hello sensors are located at the top of the screen. It even has something special called presence detection that we can configure how it should behave in the utility menu as well. For me, I just set it to lower the brightness if I'm not looking onto the screen, and that feature works very well and reliably, so good job there. The performance though is adequate enough for day-to-day usage and even some photo and video editing as well. However, if you want to game on this laptop though, then it would definitely struggle. Our unit here comes with an Intel Core Ultra 7 155H with 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM at 6400 mega transfers per second. We'll talk more about the RAM later. An NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4050 laptop GPU that can only go up to 60 watts of power, which is actually 10 watts higher than what's listed on their website, and also 1TB of NVMe SSD. Now, if we just look at the specs alone, then I think it will have a hard time even at 1080p resolution for certain more demanding AAA games. And with that 4K screen, yeah, it's just not gonna cut it. Bro, we're going to play games like having slideshow kind of frame rates if we're gonna push it at 4K. I think we have to leverage technologies like DLSS to make the experience smoother. Lighter titles like Genshin Impact is okay at the native resolution, but again, if we want 60 FPS at the highest graphical settings, then it's pretty much impossible. We have to either lower the resolution or lower the graphical settings. The temperatures on this laptop is definitely gonna be high because the cooling solution inside this laptop isn't exactly made for power-hungry components, hence a super low wattage on the GPU. The back panel has also been changed as it doesn't have slits for air intake anymore. This is great if you want to use the laptop on a bed or the couch, but the temperatures are definitely gonna be affected. I guess the fan takes in air through the keyboard now. If that's the case, then if I ever want to use this laptop in a closed manner and connect it to an external monitor, then I would say it's a very bad idea. Now, let's talk about the upgradability. Technically, there is nothing much to be upgraded here. You see, the entire laptop is rather locked down, I should say. There are a few Torx screws at the back that we have to unscrew, then slowly pry around the sides and then slide it in this direction to get the back panel off. After all that effort, there is really nothing to be upgraded on the XPS 169640. The aforementioned 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM at 6400 mega transfers per second is soldered onto the motherboard, which is actually insufficient if we want to do slightly more intensive video editing work nowadays. And even the Wi-Fi chip is soldered as well. The only thing that we can do here is to upgrade the SSD. If we compare it with the XPS 15 9500, this is actually a clear downgrade. On this older XPS 15, we have two SODIMM slots that we can upgrade and swap the RAM to whatever we choose. And we also have a secondary M.2 SSD slot. Now, all of them are gone. It is also here that we can see the cooling solution is a big vapor chamber covering the Wi-Fi chip, the RAM, both CPU and GPU, and then connected to two heat pipes to two fans on opposite sides. The fan blows air through those fin stacks. It's using a rather huge 99.5 watt-hour battery here, but unfortunately the battery life lasts for only around 4 to 6 hours depending on what I'm doing and what I'm viewing on the screen. Firstly, OLED screens' brightness heavily affects the battery life. Secondly, if I'm viewing mostly dark stuff, then the OLED screen wouldn't consume that much power. But either way, even with my usage of browsing the internet while typing out a script, while listening to music on YouTube Music, the battery life is just not that good. One good upgrade that they did is to the power brick. It is still using the semi-proprietary 130 watts charger, but now it is much smaller and thinner than before. Even with such a big 16-inch laptop that isn't exactly the thinnest, the port selection is absolutely abysmal. We have only one 3.5mm combo audio jack, a micro SD card slot, which is a downgrade over the full-size SD card reader that is found on the XPS 15, and triple USB-C ports. Depending on what GPU you're getting, that also affects how many Thunderbolt 4 ports that you're getting. Dell does include a dongle in the box, but I think they could have just included more ports to the laptop. I really don't like carrying dongles, honestly. And what's the price? It's at a whopping 12,098 ringgit and 99 cents. It's expensive. Since the RAM is not upgradable, we have to fork out an extra 600 ringgit just to upgrade it to 32 gigs of RAM, which is what I would have preferred on my laptops. So at the end of the day, I think the XPS 16 9640 is a weird laptop. Its 16.3-inch OLED 4K screen is absolutely gorgeous and I love that screen, but the specs of it is very limiting. Even if we splurge to get the RTX 4070 version, it is still only operating at 60 watts of power. And since this laptop isn't going to be a powerhouse, I expect it to be portable. But it's not really fun to carry around either. It's heavy and it also is kind of thick, yet the ports are just insufficient and the price is sky high. Overall, I think this laptop is kind of incoherent. It aims to be so many things, but it just didn't achieve any of them. Yes, it's a nice looking laptop with a superbly good screen, but that's all that I can say about this laptop. As for alternatives, you can look at the ZenBook S16 UM5606, which is 1.1 centimeters thin and only weighs in at 1.5 kilograms. Or consider getting the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i, which has better specs and similar features and at a lower price. So if you have any other questions regarding the Dell XPS 16 9640, then let me know down in the comment section below. And remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.